Empowerment Show aims to equip individuals with the necessary tools, knowledge, and confidence to make informed decisions and take control of their lives. It also focuses on ensuring access to essential resources and the opportunities.
Welcome to Mental Health Mondays with Hope on this very, very rainy evening here in Northeast Pennsylvania. We have Dr. Jim Shupak back with us this week. I'm so excited because we started our conversation last week and we thought we were going to have to hold off for another month, but we had some changes and we were able to get Jim on this week, which, that could have been a little divine intervention there, Jim, because I think, back to back is always so much better. So I've just kind of switched that other person into your August time slot and we get to talk with you again. So my name is Hope. I'm your host here with Mental Health Mondays. And this is part 2, or as they say in the movie Airplane, part 2 of our conversation with Jim Shupak. We're talking about MDD and major depressive disorder and Jim's experiences with his own mental health and how he's opening up and using that to help others, which I think is absolutely wonderful. I'm going to ask everyone that if you're just tuning in to this second episode, that you go back. If you are already here on the PA Empowerment Network on our YouTube channel, first of all, go ahead and like this podcast and subscribe to the network. It's absolutely free. But then if you click on live, when you're scrolling through, you will see a list of all of the live programming that we've done, and you can see last week's podcast that we had with Jim. So last week we talked all about like your initial diagnosis, your initial struggles, and we said we were going to pick up with your most recent bout with major depressive disorder. Now, just to refresh everybody, the running part came when exactly? Because you did, you
that was in the first part, and then it continued till, well, and I'll get more into it until about the last 10 years, but I'm starting to really get more into it now, I guess you'll say, but I don't want to, how would I put it, spoil the story by, you know, starting it at the start, like starting now, but So it started actually 2001 when I had the first bout. Yeah,
when you started walking first, and then
when Saint Sonny, as I like to call him, our golden retriever, passed away, and he put his nose about this far from mine, and he basically would, it was understanding like, hey, I need to take you for a walk, but I need you to put the leash on me so that we can go, and one block turned to 2 blocks, turned to 3 blocks. Before you know it, it was like we're going for about a mile and then 2 miles. I'm like, I don't know if I want to take him further than this because, and then leave him at home and, we'd go our own little walks. And then it was just me, going for a block of a walk, then a block of a jog, then a block of a walk, then a block of a jog, and it was just slow and steady, as they say, steady wins the race, and it's just a race against yourself, really.
Right, exactly. And that is a great running analogy as well as a life analogy.
Yeah, like
slow and steady wins the race.
You don't, how would I put it? Like, it's a process, and you have to trust the process, and you have to, like for me, like, I'm very like devout in my religious beliefs, being Catholic, and just the people and I call them the furry angels that were put in my life to help me get through. Like I oftentimes say, like, I prayed for my recovery, and it wasn't like one of these where, like, if you look at the biblical stories and you touch like the cloak of Jesus and he, your faith has, cured you. It was one where, well, here's the ingredients to bake the cake being your recovery, and just taking them one step at a time. And I think I was learning patience, humility, what have you, like just I think that's one thing that's lacking is, sometimes people when they achieve great things is they think that they're all big and bad, and it's like it could be taken away from you just like that.
Right,
And,
right, right.
and I said, like, uh, for me, it's just important to stay humble in everything that you do, every success that you have. If you can, sorry, that snitches probably.
That's all right.
But the only time you should look down on someone is if when you're helping them up.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
And I at times tell people, I said, there's only two things I need to know about a person, and that is how do you treat somebody who can't quote unquote pay you back, who can't, and how do you treat animals?
Right,
Once
I agree.
know then that will determine how much more do I want to know about you? And
right.
part of the reason why I'm vegetarian. Okay. I'm practicing what I preach also as far as cows, as far as chickens, I'm full on vegetarian. I used to be a meat eater, meat and potato.
Okay.
Nope, not anymore.
I didn't know that about you.
No, okay. Yeah. So learn something new every day.
You'll have to come over and meet my pigs and chickens.
Oh, I remember. I think it was
my rescue animals.
Yeah, was it Mark Cutteroff kissed the pig the one time?
Mr.
Cutteroff at the
yes,
Relay for Life,
and Mrs. Snyder.
Yes, but about 2 years ago it was.
Yeah, yes, it was 2 years ago. I brought my pig.
I was in the running for that with the middle school group, but Miss Snyder, hey, that's totally fine. Yeah. She got to kiss the pig.
He loves to give kisses, though, so he'll kiss you anytime.
I'm sure. Trust me. No, I totally get it.
So let's pick up where we left off. Let's talk about the most recent bout that you had with depression. Give us a lead up. Tell us about it. Tell us what put you there, you think, and how you came out of it.
Well, going into it, it was the COVID year. And as a teacher, there's a reason why, and I don't just mean at my district of Pleasant Valley, I mean throughout the country. After COVID, a lot of teachers said, peace out. I am done. I am retiring. I can't do this anymore. And I'm not just saying that about one district. I'm saying that throughout the country, it was like that. And actually, I think even throughout other places in the world, a lot of people, you do the research, it is there. Mm-hmm. So coming out of that, first of all, well, I shouldn't even say coming out of it, because it was toward the end of that school year where my brother, Bob, your first friend, because, I'm 2 years old and all of a sudden it's like, look, Jim, you have a new friend and it's your brother, and so, growing up, super fit guy. I mean, the whole bit, even I was talking to our old principal today, Dr. Bridget Kelly, and I sent her a picture of him, we were just talking, and she told me he looked just like he did at high school. And I said, wow, I didn't quite get those genes, Dr. Kelly, but maybe I will once I drop some more weight. But, the hair also doesn't do anything for it. But still, very fit, very in shape, the whole bit. He had, it was Easter of 2021. Never forget it. Shannon, my wife and I, we went to the hospital because my mom had said, hey, Dad took Bob to the hospital. We're over here, we're at the ER. Bob's not feeling well. Something's up. Okay. So I shouldn't say, oh, okay. But he was okay as far as still alive, whatever. So we went over, and he seemed fine. He was joking around, this and that. But I think a lot of this stuff, a lot of the COVID stuff was catching up with him. What have you. And so he couldn't get out of his own head. And what I mean by that is I think he developed anxiety. I don't think I'm not going to say the hospital because we'll just say a local hospital, but I think they did a bad job about treating his mental health. Now, I don't know if it was lack of resources. I don't know what it was. So but I will say that it seemed like they treated his body and to test his body, but not really of his mind. Right. And, so he had developed this thing where then he was almost afraid to work out, or he couldn't work out. And that's what his drug was. it's a good drug to have because that
absolutely.
rush and all that. And reason being, like he was involved in a bad divorce, and his daughter lived with his ex-wife, and it was not pretty, but we love the daughter, or his daughter, whatever, but like gratefully she was just here and we had the best time with her. Oh my gosh. But he started not working out, and then April 26, 2021, I'll never forget, like I felt this buzzing on my phone, and I look over it, and it was through WhatsApp, not through the regular phone, because I guess whatever, maybe it's shut off at a certain time, and it was my mom. And I'm like, Mom, ¿qué pasa? Like, what's going on here? And she doesn't even remember making the call, and she said, in Spanish, Jimmy, there's blood everywhere. Oh. It's like there's like, oh my gosh, like, and I don't, even for me, I just remember picking up the call, and I remember that, and I was like, what's going on? It's like, oh my God, like there's blood, sangre por toda parte, like, and I said, Mom, Shannon and I are coming over now, and this is about 3 a.m, and we get over there, and Susan, I apologize, my therapist's name is Susan. So take that as a very high compliment. So very high compliment. And I mean, down where my parents live, there must have been a line of police cars, maybe about 8 cars, 9 cars deep. There must have been about 9 police officers, 10 police. I don't even remember how many, more than I can count. There was an ambulance there. All the lights are on. And I'm thinking to myself, I won't go into the word I'm about to say, but it's just, I think we all get it.
Yeah.
And we park. And I remember as I'm walking in, I remember asking like the one officer, like, is he okay? And he just looked at me and no. And I walked in, and then I remember going into the back and seeing going into the kitchen, seeing police officers there, going into the back, seeing my dad sitting down in there. Sorry, I'm envisioning this as I go
that's
through
fine.
At a chair, and I mean, just you could, we were just defeated. And my mom as well, giving him hugs, and my brother had taken his life. And later on, we found out he was looking up how to survive without sleeping. And as we know, you can't. He was afraid of going to sleep and not waking up. And I think what happened was it was all this COVID nonsense. Like there was a time where I couldn't watch the TV because there were like all these COVID deaths and this. And I was like, I shut it off. I can't. Yeah, my anxiety was going through the roof, and I think a lot of people's were.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's like, if it's my time, God's going to take me. I don't need to watch this bull crap. You know what I mean? Like, but but I'll the coroner coming in. But we found out that's what it was, and at that point, then I took about a week off. 6 days from school. In fact, I remember helping my parents, the funeral, the this and that, but then comes the end of the school year. And I would say probably about a week or 2 after I went, I mean, the depression that I felt, I knew what it was because the first bout that I had, so I could identify it immediately. And I remember telling my wife, I'm like, it's back. The depression is back. I can feel it. Like, I know it. And so I scheduled an appointment with my doctor, the primary care physician. I took Paxil. The first time I said, hey, I need to get back on this because, my brain needs it. I remember setting an appointment through, there's a thing called BetterHelp. It's on, and I fortunately, I had the finances where I could afford to pay for it because, as Hope, and if the people who are watching and listening don't, a lot of therapy is not cheap, and it's just because of our system in the country that has existed for many years. It just doesn't allow. It hasn't allowed for. I shouldn't say it does, but it hasn't really allowed for it. And we need more therapists. We need more people involved, but we also need higher salaries for those therapists who they
absolutely.
can, and but so I set up an appointment with Susan, my therapist, and I met with her. I remember the one time she said, "Hey, I had a cancellation. Do you want to meet?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd be happy to." And I remember my wife and I were walking down near where we live. Oh my gosh, what is it called? Levy Loop. Yes, thank you. And
okay.
And beautiful area. It was beautiful out.
Right.
But I remember talking to Susan as we were walking, and I remember after we got off, it was just this therapeutic cry. I mean, think of Niagara Falls.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
I'm surprised my contact lenses didn't fall out, honestly. Like it was like that. But I felt better going to, talk to somebody. And this was before I could get in to see the doctor. This was almost one of these things where, I remember at 2 a.m. setting up my BetterHelp, whatever, so they, it was like a questionnaire so they could set you up with somebody who can better, sorry,
better help you.
And even though Susan is not Catholic, she's Christian. So I could never go with someone who is an atheist.
Sure.
We would be button heads and I'd be like, look, this isn't working out. I said, but someone, and I've seen her now for 4 years. She's on my Christmas card list, she's wonderful. I talked to her, in fact, Saturday, and it's, even though things are going significantly better, there's still things that could be going on. You just don't know what could spark it. And I'm like, so I still talk to her, rarely cancel, just because I think it's important. And now she's gone to a private practice, so the insurance does pay for part of it. Like I have to lay out the first, I don't know what it is, but after that, so which is good. But that second bout, Hope, was, in all honesty, even knowing what I had was depression, was worse than the first. And I'll tell you, not to get overly religious, but I strongly believe that this was like some sort of demonic thing. I really believe it was, like, the first one I didn't feel that way, but the second one, I had these what's the word when you transfer faces?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I can't think of the
it
word.
It just escaped me, but I know what you're talking about.
When
it's
you
you switch.
Like you see somebody else's
astral
face.
projection.
Yeah, they were demonic on people.
Wow.
I mean, it was that bad.
Well,
and I remember on other people and human people, but I would see that instead. And that's when I knew this could potentially be far worse than anything I've ever suffered before. And I remember talking to my priest about it. I remember praying about it. I remember going to Susan, my therapist. She even told me, she said, Jim, things will get better. And they did. At the time, I was like, when Susan, because I really don't know how much longer I can deal with this. But she said, just continue with your faith. Continue doing what you are doing because it will work. It will, and she was right, but I really dove into my faith. I learned about saints that were, how would I put it, had their own attacks, or people that had a mental illness, and it truly helped me. And just learning about famous people like Abraham Lincoln, Winston Churchill, they themselves had mental illness, and they even said that it was a blessing. I use this term carefully because they said, in hindsight, it was a blessing they did because they were still able to have, no pun intended, hope for their nation, because what they saw in London, what they saw outside in the newspapers, paled in comparison to what was going on in their mind. So they could see outside and say, well, guys, we're going to be okay. Someone who maybe did not have that experience would say, oh my gosh, maybe would not have the same ability to think as positive toward a better future, and I don't know that for a fact, but I will say I don't think it hurt for them to have had that experience. Who knows what our world would look like today the United States, even
Right.
like, Winston Churchill, he basically fought off the Nazis until Pearl Harbor.
Right.
And then we got involved, so it's
right. Now,
yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Whatever you'd like.
The night or morning that your brother took his life,
Yes.
was he still alive when you were there?
No.
Okay.
No. I remember the day before, it was a Monday morning when he died. And I mean Monday, like 3 a.m, Mom called. My wife and I were over to see my parents, and I remember he was not himself, but at the same time, I didn't think he would do what he did.
Sure.
And he knew I had my bout with depression. He knew, and I said, Bob, if you need anything, please let me know. I am here. I will help, So, he never reached out, but he was always very quiet. Like, people know me as being very outgoing and this and
right.
that. And now, when I had depression, it was a different story, but he was still very quiet and very introverted, even when he was, had peace of mind.
Right.
But what happened?
I'm sorry. It's just interesting that you said that he never reached out. Now, you're almost an anomaly, because so many people do not reach out.
Right.
And one of the things we always say is, oh, you could have called me, or when someone's in that dark place, they, are not typically going to reach out, but it's up to people to see the differences in them, right, to kind of check in on them and see how they're doing. Because I and there's nothing wrong with what you said, but you are one of the people that I feel is different, because you did reach out for help, and not everybody does that. And so that's a great thing that you did that, and that you're also able to then use that to help others. And again, I mean, using yourself as the example of, you may not even know what's going on, but reach out to somebody and it's okay. Just like you said last time, when your doctor, said to you, it's okay, you're going to be okay. There are a lot of people that have this. It makes you feel a little better. So, but I apologize for interrupting.
No, you're fine. She actually, that doctor lifted the weight of the world off me when she said, like, Jim, you're not the first I'm going to diagose with depression.
Right.
And you're definitely not the last. Sorry.
Right. And then there's a reason I asked if you were there, if your brother was still alive when you're there, if he passed when you were there. You're very, very devout in your faith. I'm very spiritual, just kind of in a different way. And I just like what you're describing to me, and I don't know if you've thought of this before, is, were you taking on your brother's demons? Was he trying to tell you this is what was going on, whether they were real demons or ones that he created in his mind? This is what happened to me. The hair standing up on my arm.
It really has dawned upon me. At times, and I think that's, like, I was always, and I don't say this in a proud way, I say it in a humble way, I was always generally more deep in my faith than he was. And I think that's what helped. I pretty much know that's what helped me to still be here and talk to you today. And because I like I said, I looked at certain saints that had them, and I looked at, tell people, I said, people say, oh, these people are perfect. I said, none of them are perfect.
No.
I said, there's no sinner without a future and no saint without a past. And I think but that being said, it could have been. It very well could have been. And I remember my wife got me this prayer book. We still have it. Actually, I found it after a couple of years, thank God. Not that I need it, but it's just to give it honor in our house.
Right. Absolutely.
It's a prayer book that Padre Pio, who I'm a very devout follower of, love him to death. I mean, he's one of my spiritual fathers. That's more for a religious show, but I would just leave it at that.
Right,
People
right.
are
I
interested in hearing
have some
about
of
it,
Padre Pio's
you know.
writings.
I love him. And he is a devout follower of St. Michael the Archangel. And Shanna, my wife, got me a book of prayers, and it was like 30 days. And every day I read it religiously. And I tell you not, Hope, when I was done with that book, it was like the depression lifted altogether. It was almost like St. Michael and Padre Pio were fighting on my behalf. Sorry, I'm getting emotional.
No, you're good. You're good. And not everybody has had that type of experience,
Right.
of actually feeling the weight lifted.
True. No, very true.
Of seeing internally the darkness go away.
Oh yeah.
Not everybody has experienced that, and when you do, it is incredible. It's a miracle, and it's life changing.
Oh, it definitely is. Like I see my speaking about it as a gift of the Holy Spirit.
Right. So, you're fine. You're fine. So I want to just move on a little bit, because one of the things that you talk about, and we all talk about in society, is changing getting rid of the stigma.
Yes.
And just some of the things you're saying about all these famous people in history that that have had these type of diagnoses. It's an invisible disease. I talked a little bit last week about myself having functional depression. Like, you wouldn't know it because it's not who I am, but it is. It's that other side.
Exactly.
It's that other side but you're always like keeping an eye on it and always, staying up with it, I guess, when you're open about your own mental health and the mental health of others. So if you would see me, or if we see you out in public, nobody would think any different. How do we do this? How do we change the stigma? Do we wear banners all the time that's, with a list of our diagnoses? I mean, what do we do?
Real thing, my suggestion is what we're doing right now. You have to, like, not everyone, like you said, is open and talking about it. But if you are open and talking about it, shout it from the rooftops. You know what I mean? Like, but you have to have that strength. You also have that support, because like I've been on podcasts before. I was on one from India, I remember. And the people said, like, in our culture, meaning their culture from India, they're not open to that at all.
Right.
They'll tell you straight up. Like, that's what they told me. I can't say that I'm as knowledgeable about that, but I can say from what these people told me, like, you suck it up. That's what it is. Like, so I think it goes beyond the silo effect of just our country, where it's like being more open to speaking about it in general, because that's how you're going to kind of eradicate the stigma. That's how you're going to, hopefully it's mitigate the stigma first and then eradicate the stigma, because I think you have to lessen it. Well, you do, I think, before you get rid of it altogether. And I don't know, will it ever be gone? I don't know. Maybe some cultures it'll stick around, but for me, I feel that I'm still here to I'm going to use this word again, give people hope, and I think that's why I'm still around. Like,
sure. Yeah. Listen, it might sound corny, but I try to live up to my name every day. Oh, Jim froze up on us. So I'll just keep talking until we get Jim back. He froze up on us a little bit. So what I'm going to do right now until we get Jim back, I'm going to scroll at the bottom of the screen Jim's contact information. Here we go. If you would like to reach out to him, there is his email address and also his website. Hopefully we get him back. This weather has been really crazy for us here today. So well, hopefully we get him back in a minute or two. But one of the things that Jim, I also wanted to talk about, which when he comes back, you can elaborate, is that he is doing public speaking on this. Oh, we lost him totally. So we'll see if we can get him back. So, Jim is doing public speaking on his mental health issues and how that can help others. Jim and I actually did a program together, which we didn't know that we were both there. And hey, are you back?
Not if that was me.
Hey, that's all right. That's all right. This weather's crazy.
Yeah,
so we're good.
Had some storm. I'm sure you did too, because you're not.
Yeah. So I was just, filling in the time, telling jokes until you. No, I'm kidding. I talked a little bit about you and doing public speaking, about this. So, give us a little more info. What's the goal? What's the plan?
The goal.
And you're writing a book, so we need to hear about that too.
Actually, I'm taking right now. Presently, I'm taking a class on the business side of because you can self-publish, but finding an agent, which is more difficult to do than self-publishing. However, once you, God willing, find an agent, they'll do all the work for you. Absolutely. So that's kind of, I'm taking a class on that, but then I'm also kind of taking a class on the writing side, and I'm up to 11,000 words of my memoir, and the goal is 60. Essentially, based on the business side telling me you should have 60 to 80,000 words for a memoir. So, but I still have a lot more to do. I found this. I was telling my wife, and I tell my therapist, I said, just incredibly therapeutic. Just delving it out, giving that. And I haven't gotten yet to the day that, my brother died and that part. And that's going to be one that I think is going to be shared over time, probably even I might write it on a Saturday morning, and I see my therapist at 11 o'clock on Saturday. And it might be I'm writing from 9 into 11, and then that way I can dive because that's going to take some, that's going to take a lot of energy. We'll just put it that way. A lot of spiritual, mental, physical, emotional energy. But the reason I think this is important, because a lot of people, why would you do that? I said, because I don't want it to happen to you, the person who is watching, reading. So if you can identify with how I felt, maybe you can save yourself, or maybe you can save somebody else. But at the same time, aside from that, it's more transformational where, I've done marathons, but maybe someone else's marathon is applying for a new job and getting that new job. Maybe that marathon might be just doing a 5K. And I don't mean just, but I mean doing a 5K, or just doing, I don't know, making breakfast in the morning.
Sure.
That taking a shower, brushing your teeth, whatever. So it's these little things that I have learned from my life that I hope to instill in other people. But it's the experiences, while they will be different, the hopeful message will hopefully resonate with a lot of people, because getting my doctorate was one thing that it's not for everyone. You either have a calling for it or you don't, because you won't finish if you don't have a calling. It was, I wouldn't do it again. I'll be straight up honest with you. I wouldn't do it again. But once you finish, it's maybe somebody's is getting their associate's degree. Maybe that is their doctorate. Nobody else in my family, got an associate's degree. So maybe that's what I want to do. And that's fine. That's awesome, because everyone's journey is different. Everyone's goal in life is different. Everyone's aspirations is different. Everyone's way that you want to change the world, which hopefully you do in a positive way, is different. And we all have our own ways of doing it, and just depression is what led me to want to do these marathons. And, I want to get back, into that, if we can talk more about that, because it's kind of gotten away from me a little bit, actually a lot of it, but I'll talk to you, we'll get to that in a second, if that's okay. And then, the same with the doctor. It's that was a lifetime goal. I had that goal since I was on service trips to El Salvador, Nicaragua, Mexico, Appalachia, the United States, Camden, New Jersey, and in Nicaragua, I met an individual same age as me when I was there. And I was going for my master's degree, and I remember talking to him. He was holding his son, he was a little guy. I think his name was Juan. I forget what the son's name was. And, we're talking. I said, oh, I'm in college now. It's like, what do you do? And, he was a fisherman. He lived right on the lake. And then he said to me, he's like, oh, what are you studying, or what are you going to college for? And I said, for my master's degree. And he was like, oh, what's that? And I said, well, once you go for your 4-year degree, then you go for another degree. It takes 1 to 2 years. And he's like, oh, wow, you're lucky. He's like, very lucky. He's like, I never went to school. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so you never went to college? No, I never went to school. So you never went to high school? No, I never went to school. So you never went to like middle school? What's the last grade you went to? And because this doesn't resonate with, he's like, no, I never stepped foot in a classroom.
Wow.
One day in his life. And for me, here I'm getting for a master's degree, and in many countries around the world with a master's degree, they'll call you doctor,
right,
even though you don't have a doctorate, because most of the people don't have an undergrad degree. So it's almost like a doctorate degree in itself within that nation.
Right.
So from that point, it was just something that stuck in my heart, and the right time came, and I married the right person who really, she should have a doctorate as well, because she, for about 4 years, it was a lot of sacrifice.
Right.
A lot of sacrifice.
Right.
But being on the other end of it's awesome. And even my brother, he celebrated with me, and it was great for that. But unfortunately, the celebration was very short, because not long after he died. But for me, it's, I consider myself fortunate where I've been asked to be on other people's dissertation committees, which is the fun part of where you want to be on. I was just asked to be on my second one. So I'm going to be able to help other people achieve that goal / dream of finishing their doctorate, because you have to have a doctorate to be on that committee.
Right. And what is your dissertation on?
It is, you said, because there's like fancy verbiage that I just have to think about here. It is using behavioral therapy with at-risk youth, using behavioral therapy through sport with at-risk youth with a mental illness diagnosis.
Nice.
So essentially, someone like you, social worker, could use sport to work with a group. So there might be, say, a group of 10 kids. And instead of going to the therapist, which is what I would do with like Susan virtually, they would go and play basketball, and they would say, like, use certain sports related terminology to say, well, what's bothering you today, or what are you happy about, or what are you looking forward to, what are you not looking forward to, and then that opens conversation. And it was such a cool thing. I met them in the group at the U.S. Soccer Coaches Convention in Washington, D.C. a couple years ago, and I was able to do a case study, and it was so it took my two passions, mental health, and also sport, brought it together. So it was also like, it was such a cool thing. And my suggestions were essentially, we need more social workers. We need to work with more because they work more with Boston College, Boston University, but we needed to bring more historically Black colleges and universities, because a lot of the clients were people that would go to those schools. And not, I mean, Hispanics, it could be Black, it could be whatever. But many of the clients were people that I think that the students could relate to maybe a little bit better. And it's not taking away anything from the people who are working. It's just saying it helps to solve a couple of challenges.
Right.
So
and I say this all the time. And as a social worker, cultural awareness is very important. Yeah. I can empathize with a person of color, but I can't feel the same thing that they feel. And, I feel sometimes that puts me at a little bit of a disadvantage when I'm working with a person of color, as much as I can certainly empathize. I've never walked in their shoes. I will walk alongside of them, but I've never walked in their shoes. And I think having more people of color in these type of, whether it's the helping professions or the teaching professions,
Yeah.
especially, in an area like
Yeah.
ours, that the landscape has changed.
Oh yeah. And even I look, elementary school teachers, most of them are women. Like if you had more guys in there, or, even in teaching, I think in general, even at the middle school level, we have a good mix of men and women, but they're mostly women. But there's a fair amount of men, but then you get to high school, then it's a good combination. I'm just going from the one district. I mean, if I did a real research project on it, looked at the numbers, it could change.
Right. I just watched a video on, and I don't know what school, I don't know, what area, that part, because that part didn't matter to me, but it was, basically, the majority of the students were African American, Latino, and it was a pretty rowdy school apparently. And a group of dads got together and they formed like a dad's club, and the dads would go in and spend lunch with the kids. And if the kids were starting to, get out of line a little bit, they would be a dad to these kids.
Right.
And, and it really just kind of showed how important that male role model is. And,
yeah.
Especially this was at the middle school level, especially at the middle school level when, everything's changing in your chemical, in your body and your brain.
Oh yeah. And that's the one thing I enjoy, about being, aside from a teacher, but a coach, is there's going to be a variety of different households that, in my case, they're girls, the middle school girls, the high school girls, but it doesn't matter, whatever sport you're coaching, that they go to. So if I can be a male role model, if that's, as I call myself to my niece, the Funkle. And
right. I like that.
Just having a good time, but at the same time, keeping you accountable. But I'm not going to yell at you. I'm not going to scream at you. But I might say, we can work a little bit harder here.
Right.
We can move. You know what I mean?
Right.
Hey, what's going on? It's okay to have fun, but I want you to do your best. I want you to achieve more. So, but again, I'm not a yeller. I'm not a screamer. I hated being yelled at.
Yeah.
I hate with a capital H. That's not how I roll. If you tell me you're disappointed in me, oh gosh, forget it. Then it's like, okay, I'm going to work 10 times harder.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
I have a loud voice. I call it my coaching voice.
Yes.
But definitely not yelling,
Right. Oh yeah. And I'm sure any of my soccer girls will tell you that as well. Same thing. It's same exact thing. Coaching voice, but I'm not going to yell at the play. I might say something to a referee because they're not calling fouls that might potentially injure my player.
Yes, absolutely.
That's when
we have a lot of paralleling, a lot of.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So you already know the title to my book
is,
Basketball Saved Me.
Yes.
Which is talking everything about what you're talking about and how I actually use sport now, to help these young ladies that I coach. So in the last week since I've talked to you, have you come up with a title for your book yet?
No, but I will say this. I have potential. I'm going to start this class I'm taking. One of my assignments is to get some potential titles and to essentially put it on social media and just see what people think. So if it's
don't force it. Here's my advice for you. Is I threw around so many different titles and I put so much effort into it that it just didn't happen. It has to come naturally to you. I feel because of what you're writing about. This is your memoir. It'll come to you.
Yeah.
It'll come to you.
I agree. No, and
don't force it. It'll come.
No, I won't. I definitely won't. But I wanted to share about the marathons too, Hope, before I forget too.
And just letting you know, we only have a couple more minutes. So I definitely want to talk about that because I know you wanted to.
So I have done so far 21. I finished 21 for mental health awareness back in 2016, right before I started at Drexel. Where I got my doctorate. I did 4 marathons in 4 months. But then what happened was going for your doctorate, unfortunately, takes a lot of time. And then running goes by the wayside. And something I greatly enjoyed. Then I finished COVID year. My brother died. Then my wife, who I'm proud to say is a cancer survivor,
Yes.
She got cancer.
Right.
Then kind of making sure, I wanted to make sure my parents were okay through the process of my brother, make sure my wife was okay. So it's like life has gotten away from me. So one of my new challenges now to myself, and I actually have a Instagram that I just kind of posted. People are welcome to follow it. They don't have to though. And it's called Jim's 100 pound weight loss journey, where I'm keeping myself accountable by telling other people, like,
Absolutely.
I've gotten life away from, and I'm putting that in my memoir because when life gets in the way, and it's going to get in the way, sometimes your life, like I have to have a ultrasound. Yes, men have ultrasounds, like on my liver, and I have three gastroenterologists I go to see. I have to see my doctor in next month to see if I might qualify for some of the weight loss drugs. I do not want to go on weight loss drugs. I do not want to take any of that. I do not want to have surgery. What I want to do is naturally. I'm going on the Mediterranean diet, pardon me. I pretty much have. Working out in the summer, I'm down 11, 12 pounds. Okay. So I'm happy where I'm, so it's progress. Now, I'm not going to lose 100 pounds overnight, but I want to lose, if I can lose another 5 or 10 before we start soccer practice, probably in about a month, I'm going to feel good. And my doctor's going to say, Jim, you're doing well. And hopefully if my gastro told me, my gastro doctors, if you lose 10%, which is about 28 pounds, 30 pounds total, you're going to see noticeable improvements in your tests. And then soon you're going to get off your medicine. And then soon, and that's what I want. So it's like, aside from talking about the mental health aspect of it, as far as, the loss of life of my brother, and then other, things that have gone on, I'm looking at this as my comeback season.
Okay.
My comebacks, like people have asked me, let's do another marathon, because I've run them before with them. And it's like, I'm not ready yet. My body's not ready yet. But you give me about a year, and God willing, maybe the following September, maybe I'll be lacing up for Steamtown again, or October. I think Steamtown's in October, So that's where we'll see.
Yeah. Well, no, we will see, because you already have the tools, and you've already stated it. And I like that you put it out there, because the accountability part of it, because once you put things into the universe, there's accountability. So I get that, but you've already said it. You said it's a process.
Yep.
Right. And you said slow and steady.
Right. And
so you've already said it.
You have to trust the process.
You're living it.
And like, I have to see if there's a patron saint for health. I'm sure there's for health, but for distance runners, because I'll be looking up.
You know what? Is it Saint Gabriel?
It might be.
I think he's like, well, maybe he's nature and health and overall health.
It might be athletes healthcare too, for one of them. I have to look it up, because I'll have a new friend.
There you go. Absolutely. I could talk with you for hours. Do you have any events coming up where you're going to be speaking?
Not that I'm aware of right now, but I will say that if anyone is interested in having me as a speaker, I am definitely willing and able and open to it, because I have the one talk, which is just based on my own life experiences, but how, we've talked about how, the marathon might be getting an associate's degree, or it might be just kicking the ball in the back of the net for the first time. But I also have one that I'm working on. I pretty much finished it, called Putting Your Best Mind Forward, as opposed to putting your best foot forward.
I like that.
Because it's important that we also, sometimes we're asked to take on too much. And I used to be that yes man. And now it's like, well, if you want me to do this, I can't do this. So which one's more important?
Right.
I've turned into that.
Right.
I will do it, but then I can't do that. So I don't want to say that,
right.
I'm not going to call myself a no man, but it's like,
no, I get it. One of my original title ideas before I decided to really go the basketball route was Me, Myself, and Everyone.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
because it really is.
right.
You know,
Exactly.
yeah.
And I say that as I look at a picture of empty pitcher, which is very symbolic of if you don't have anything in your pitcher, there's nothing to pour from. And that can lead to stress, can lead to anxiety, which you'll see some of my facial movements. That's anxiety and stuff that I haven't. I'll have it for the rest of my life, most likely, but it's fine. It doesn't affect me from doing anything that I wouldn't do otherwise.
Right.
But when you take care of yourself, self-care, that's when your pitcher gets full. And hanging out with the dogs, hanging out with my wife, just kind of, going to the gym, I found so much like just, oh, this is what it's about. I'll even find myself welling up with tears at the gym, just like, this is what I need to do as I listen to the Rocky soundtrack. Yes, I am that guy.
Just as we talked about, depression is a chemical imbalance.
Yes.
And, working out, self-care, and anything that you do for self-care releases endorphins.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, that counteracts, the chemicals, and it's just so helpful. So, no matter what it is, self-care is important for everyone, but it looks different for everyone.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it could be something as simple as going to and I'm a big advocate of the adopt, don't shop movement. So going to a rescue, and, you can adopt the love of your life there, or just play with them. They'll love to have you, like, just play with them. Obviously you don't get trained in it in the whole bit, but still, and you'll notice that endorphin rush just because of the happiness that dog or cat will.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So we are scrolling your contact information on the bottom of the screen. Unfortunately, we're going to have to end our conversation for today, but I have a feeling you'll be back again.
Oh, anytime, Hope. You tell me when.
Actually, you know what? I'm thinking about maybe just, asking you to come in and be a co-host with me sometime, and we'll talk to
that'd
other
be cool.
people. Yeah, that'd be
fun.
I
would love that. Oh, that would be cool. Yeah.
So one last, I'll let you end. What would you like to say? We did this last time to somebody that, might be not knowing what's going on, or might know that they have depression, but they don't have the wherewithal, to reach out to tell anybody. What would your advice to be?
Sometimes you have to be your own hero. And sometimes you might have, say we have 100% of energy every day, but that depression is causing you to have 1%. Use that 1% to get the help that you need, because think of the pitcher, and the pitcher that would be 100% full is only 1% full. Well, maybe with that 1% full, that opens up a spigot, if you want to call it that, or whatever. And you go to ask for help from your doctor, maybe email them. I St. Luke's Health or whatever it is. That's most of my doctors are St. Luke's, or call and set up that appointment. Talk to a therapist if you can, or talk to, if you do are a member of a church or a synagogue, or what have you. Talk to that spiritual leader, to that church leader, to that religious leader. Also, if you're really in dire straits, 988 is your number to call.
Yes, I agree.
Call your 988 number, and just talk to them, because they will help walk you through the process. And sometimes that's just what you need, because as my priest told me, Father Tom, who's passed away about 10 years ago, there's 3 things in life, pardon me, just accomplish 3 things every day. And one was get out of bed. The second was go to the bathroom, because those are 2 things you have to do. Otherwise you're going to pee your pants. And the third might be get coffee or orange juice or breakfast. Well, the 3 things might be press 9, then 8, then 8. That's what it might be. Talk to the person on the other line. They are trained. I'm blessed to say that I know the person who essentially created the 988 number personally. The like it used to be a different number altogether, and he
Right.
had privately funded it. But I'm blessed to say I know him personally, and I'm advocating, and I know he would because he lost his wife to suicide, and
I'm sorry.
that's why he started that number. He started it
Right.
with the money that was left from her. I don't know if it's her 501(c)(3) or what, like 501(k).
Oh, okay.
Like something like that. Like that's how he started it. Now,
Right.
with the government funding, it's at least there's more people trained. Do we need more money? Do we need more people trained? Yes. But that's might be what it is. Just dial 988 and, or find that friend who's like your brother or sister that you are your authentic self with, and tell them what's going on and say, look, I'm afraid to go to the doctor, but I want you to come with me.
Right.
Do it. Like just reach out. You'll The Rock Johnson once said there's hope on the other side of your pain. And that's what I'm telling you. I'm not doing The Rock Johnson. I'm just quoting him.
Right. No. And I think that's great. I think that's a great
He's
philosophy.
another one who has depression.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
He's another one who is very open about his bout with depression.
And I mean, you've educated me this evening on people who have, the diagnoses, and I appreciate that, and I think that's helpful for other people to hear that as well. But Dr. Jim Shupak, or Shoop, it's such a pleasure as always. I just like saying the doctor because I'm so proud of you for that.
No, I tell people the real reason I got the doctorate because I wanted to be called Dr. J, and Julie Serving's my favorite.
Oh, that's funny.
That's not the real reason. That's not the real reason.
He's my favorite basketball player ever. My nickname was Lady Doc when I was in middle school.
Oh, I did not know that. So you taught me something new today.
Yeah, there we go. We definitely, we're going to do some things together. We're going to have you back on here. And I'm asking everyone, look, there's Jim's contact information. This remains on the YouTube channel. So please, if you're just catching it now, share it with everybody. We need more Jims out there in the world, people who are willing to tell their story and help others. So I thank you for that. I commend you on that.
Thank you.
As I appreciate you, and I will walk the journey with you. I'll maybe even run Steamtown.
Oh, that would be great. And if not, maybe do a 5K first, and we'll build up to the half.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll get back to running the shorter distences first.
I was going to say, remember, as I said the first time, do as I say, not as I do. I went from the 5K to the marathon, and it was like, maybe I should have rethought this. Although I did finish, but yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, hey, anytime. Trust me, I have a bunch of other people who are even out in that area of the West End who I know are chomping at the bit to get to a half or a full.
Sounds good.
I know we wouldn't be the only ones. There'd be a couple of us.
No. Well, and again, thank you, Dr. Jim Shupak, and a wonderful mental health advocate. And we will certainly see you back here again.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hope.
Right.
And thank you all for watching / listening, and feel free to reach out. Just remember, it does get better.
Yeah, thanks. Have a great evening.
You too.
All right. We'll see you next Monday, 6 o'clock, Mental Health Mondays with Hope. Have a great week, everyone. Did it work?